Good evening. Thank you all so much for coming. So my name is Rebecca Lloyd. I am the spokeswoman and the marketing director for Advance Australia Fair. And what I'm going to be speaking to you about today is Novax ID. And what Novax ID is about fairness for all. So what I'm going to be going through today is how we can do what Jill was talking about, which is a non-violent but highly effective approach, 365 days a year. We don't have to wait until every 2 or 4 years to go to the ballot box. And the lady here said, well, that's if it's not rigged. Doesn't matter if it's rigged or not when we can fight back in this way. So I'm going to take you through this now. So this is how we're going to help small business owners stay afloat during turbulent COVID waters and how to rebuild later. Now, most of us are over the age of 30, so we all know about Super Mario Brothers. Now, Mario could be fighting the enemy all day long, and this is what we see on social media. Everyone is having a go, but what's the point? It ends up very tiring. It ends up aggravating and frustrating. So what we actually need to do is make sure that we're fighting for the princess per se. And what is the princess for us in Australia? Well, it's our nation, it's our family, it's our children's future. And for the rest of this presentation, if you keep this in mind, the princess in mind, the inspiration in mind, you'll be able to do what Mario Brothers does, which is not go through, but go over. I'm going to show you today how very, very simply you can go over the evil to get through to the inspiration. So today's agenda, the key takeaways are small business stats. Going to take you through that really quickly, like drinking out of a fire hose. I can send this presentation to all of you afterwards. So for those of you who are melancholics like myself and love your numbers, I've got you covered. For those of you who are sanguines, just look at the pretty pictures and you'll be happy. All right, so COVID's impact on business and you, how you specifically can drive change, about you and novaxid.com.au, and the next steps you can take now. And by now, I mean this evening tonight, right now. Okay, so small business creates jobs. Now, small business was king. Small business employs 97.4% of the workforce. That means out of every 100 people in the community, 97.4%, so there's probably half a person here that is not actually employed by a small business owner. So this means that we are all affected by business. As you can see, large businesses there are those with 200 plus employees. They're your Coles and your Woolworths. So just to throw that in a little bit, the vaccine mandates that we're going to fire you if you don't go and do this, it actually doesn't matter on a national or a global scale because most of us are employed by small business owners, which has 0 to 19 employees. Now, these are the different industry sectors. I'm going to read some of them out to you because I know that the writing's very small for those of you sitting up the back. So according to Australian government stats, now all of the stats that I present to you this evening, they're not from the dark web, they're not from QAnon, they're not from any of those sources. The stats that I talked to you about tonight are stats that you can take to the general public, to those that are doing the mandates, believe in the vaccine, because they're all from government statistical websites, okay? So we're looking at healthcare and social assistance, the retail trade, professional scientific tech services, construction, accommodation and food services. And that is the lion's share of people that are actually in the workforce. And we know statistically 97.4% of that is small business. Now, it comes as no surprise to any of you here that small business is absolutely suffering. Small business has declined, and it's actually been declining for a very, very long time. COVID has just highlighted that. So we see around 78% of businesses across Australia are reported a decline in business as of December 2020. That, again, is according to a small business report, which is, not a woke site or anything like that. Without small business, we have almost zero employment prospects. Without small business, the future of our nation is compromised. So that means a 50% across the board potential job loss. So this room is fairly well divided. So 50% of you over there, that's it. Sorry, no job. Sorry for that. Soz. That's just the way it is. So hardest hit sectors by the vaccine mandates, ironically, is healthcare and social assistance, your nurses, your AMBOs, the retail trade, Professional, scientific and tech services, construction, we've just seen all those blokes pretty upset about that, and the mining sector as well. Let's talk about that too. Accommodation and food services, and education and training. I personally have a friend that has just quit his job with no job, no jab. He works in NDIS, and another friend who is facing no job, no jab, who is a teacher. Both wonderful people, highly recognised by their institutions that they work for, but the small businesses are quite frankly scared. And so they're looking at either losing their job or have already lost their job. Now, this is the media, and you look at the colours, it's angry, it's like scary, it's like, oh, you've got to, exactly what Jewel was talking about, fear, the passion, every day, and you've got people telling you what you must do, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this. I mean, thankfully this woman's gone, that's great, so that's good for that. This mate, old mate, well, then whatever, maybe he'll fall down another set of stairs, I don't know, and have to, be out for a little while as well, but we don't know. Bless him, Lord, but, whatever. And this woman, not sure about that, but anyway, so this is what we're seeing every day, and we feel as a community, okay, we're like, well, I don't have this bloke's salary, I don't have this bloke's worldly connections, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have that, I'm just me, what can I do? I'm just an opinionated person. You're obviously highly opinionated, all of you, whether outwardly or inwardly, otherwise you wouldn't be in this room tonight. You'd be home watching Netflix or whatever else you could be doing. So right now, and all of this I'm painting a picture for you, I'm not educating you right now because you all know this stuff and that's why you're here. I'm just showing you that the solution, which comes a little bit further down the track, I know what I'm talking about by presenting it to you, so you will see how the puzzle pieces fit together with the problem and the solution. So right now we're faced with people that are getting the jab and people that are not getting the jab. Now, if the numbers are correct, let's say they are, we've got around 70%, let me just go back here, 70% of people that are vaccinated, up to 70%, if the numbers are correct and the media is not telling porcupines, whatever. So that means around 30% of people are not vaccinated. Now that means small business faces 30 to 50% job loss. So you folks on this side can't have your job anymore. Sorry about that. Hopefully you've got lots of savings. Hopefully you've been, having your COVID fund for the last 20 years because everyone knew that this was going to happen. So loss in the daily revenue. Now, let's take this across to the vaccine passports. So already as a small business owner, you have to fire 50% of your people to 30 to 50% of your people because they refuse to get the jab, okay? So you guys can stay, that's fine. So I'm working on a skeleton staff now as a small business owner, and that's pretty tough, but that's okay. I'm just happy to be open. I'm happy to be open. Okay, good. Now, the government has brought in the vaccine passport. So this means because we don't have enough military force or police force to police this, that means that now as a small business owner, I now must roll this out as part of the government. Going back to what Jill said, I have to act against my conscience. I'm already really oppressed because of multiple lockdowns. I'm already oppressed because of having to fire 50% of my workforce potentially. And now I have to lose, going back to this slide here, if 30% of the population is not vaccinated, I now have to lose out of every, say, $10 that I might be bringing in revenue, I'm going to lose that. So not only have I had multiple job losses, multiple lockdowns, multiple job losses, I now also have a pretty substantial loss financially because I now can't serve people that don't have their vaccines. Add to that, if that wasn't enough, spending across Australia. Who knows where we've all got the money from for the last 18 months, but apparently we've had plenty of money lying around because spending in Australia over the last year has actually gone up an extra 20 billion with a B, $20 billion. Now it's on the rise, but where? Because a lot of small businesses were shut down, so where were we spending our money? Can I get a witness? So predominantly Australians spent the most online in homewares. In 2017, products for the home accounted for 20% of all online spending, media products for 17.5%, and groceries for 16.7%. Are we shopping locally or with chain stores? So we're shopping online. I'll talk about Amazon in just a moment, eBay, AliExpress, all that stuff. And we're also shopping with major chain stores because it's convenient. It's been convenient for a very long time. Let's just get everything in one place. So this is the foreign store invasion. So your money is actually going offshore. I got these stats from Amazon. Okay, I didn't make this up. And everything that you see here in the light blue is linked. So all of you people that are like, oh, well, that's great, Rebecca, but how can I prove that? I'll give you the PDF and you can look at it yourself. So online giant Amazon reported significant growth over the last 5 years. You add eBay and AliExpress, that is a lot of online spending. This is all profit that is not going back into local communities. Not even local small business, but local communities, because local small businesses spend money with other local small businesses, okay? Let's get Sally, the mobile hairdresser, that charges you $20 less because she doesn't have a salon, but her haircuts are still great and you can get the whole family cut, come around and do it at the house. Great. Sally then goes to Frank, who is a mobile car detailer or a mechanic or whatever that looks like, and you've got this money constantly going around the local community, raising the local community up and up. When you take that money and you send it offshore for the sake of convenience and price, that's where the issues really start to come to a head. Now, if I'm a small business owner and I see, okay, everyone's shopping online, I'm going to be totally up with the thing and I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's cool. I'm going to put my stuff online. Okay, good. Then we have to pay fees for that. Now, selling online is not cheap. Businesses pay between 12 and 17%, okay, for the right to list on major foreign platforms. So imagine if your local community had an extra 12 to 17% finances circulating within your community every single year. Imagine what that would do. Now, we are lockdowns, forced closures over 18 months. We've got foreign giants plus fees to sell, and we've also got vaccine mandates. We've got to fire staff and we've got to refuse customers for 97.4% that are going to be affected by these three things. Now, this does seem pretty grim. I've painted a pretty woeful picture here. And I want to really hammer that home because I want you to see why what we put together, which is such a simple solution, you can choose us every single day. Now, if small business collapses, local communities will collapse. Will, not might, will collapse due to chronic unemployment and local dollars being sent offshore. Now, this is how to fight back, and this is how to fight back peacefully, as Jewel has, really tried to hammer home. But you're all thinking, well, I'm just one person, what can I do? Well, this is what you can do. Governments, pandemics, and foreign giants cannot control your household dollar, your daily household consumption. This is how we drive change, because a dollar is a dollar, unless you throw inflation in, which let's just avoid that because that's what happens when governments do socialism. But that's another presentation. So when you choose no vax ID, you are fighting back, okay? We say no to vaccine passports. Why? Because of medical privacy. That's it. There is nothing else you need to fight about. If you want to get the vaccine, fine. I don't even call it a vaccine personally in my own life, but that's okay. So if you want to get that, that's fine. If you don't want to get that, that's fine. That's your business. I have friends on both sides of the fence. The point is I shouldn't be disallowed my right to shop and go into my social environment simply because of a personal, medical, bodily, autonomous choice. Okay, so we say no to vaccine passports because of medical privacy. We say no to major chain stores dominating the market. Why? Because when you centralise the wealth, you centralise control. And when you cut down small business and they all go away, then there is actually no choice as a consumer. You get a couple of big fish right at the top that dominate the market, and then choice goes away. We say no to local dollars going to offshore giants. Now, it's very convenient to shop online. It's very convenient to go and buy crap from China, and I'm totally guilty of doing it. I've done it many times because I'm like, oh, just cut out the middleman. Like, I'm always a business person, okay, but we have to stop doing that. And that is an uncomfortability that must come. We don't have to hike all the way to Bundaberg. We don't have to do that stuff, but what we need to do is go, am I willing to spend an extra 30% for this item with a local person? Now, for those of you who are very money, how does that work? Mathematical. come and speak to me about the economist agreed level. It's somewhere between 2 and 7, and people have settled on 3.3. Every dollar you spend locally, when it goes around and around and around in the community, it ends up being worth about $3.3. That's conservative, but that's what it ends up being. So come and talk to me about that afterwards if you want to. So going back again, medical privacy, it's just not our business. That's it. My business is not to have your medical privacy as my business. I just want to serve you a loaf of bread. I just want to cut your hair. I just want to fix your car. So the small business owners on our platform, novaxid.com.au, they care about their businesses, their families and their local communities. They believe in medical privacy, and you won't be asked for a passport. You just won't. Some business owners are going to fall on the guillotine for that. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But the point is they cannot arrest and fine everybody. And the point is it's not a law, and it's not going to stand up in court. The point is that together, if we all together step forward, they can't catch everybody, they can't bully everybody, and then all of a sudden we realise that everybody is the collective strength. Now, all profits from novaxid.com.au, I'm going to keep saying that so that you remember it, so that you actually take action and don't just feel better at the end of this presentation that some girl is doing something about it. All profit goes back into locals. We give back. Now, our business owners are our priority. So I want you to imagine a shopping platform by the people, for the people, with 100% profit going straight back into local communities. We've engineered this platform. It's actually on the Shopify network, so for those of you who are familiar with that, it's actually an e-commerce platform, but we've turned it into a directory with some clever little tweaking, and it means that our staffing costs are very low. The cost for this is actually going to come out of having to advertise, out of telling local people that we exist. And you guys can help doing that. You guys can help keep the cost down by advertising it for us through word of mouth, okay? So major chains and foreign stores are not giving 100% profit back into local communities. They are beholden to shareholders or beholden to themselves, whichever way you choose to look at it. We're not. We've already got the Constitution getting combed through by lawyers right now, and we then will be going for charitable status. I had a conversation with a lawyer just today, and he specialises in not-for-profits, and he said we run a very, very good chance of getting charitable status. Now imagine if you were to be chucking your household dollar at something that's actually tax-free. I mean, that's pretty exciting. All right, so novaxid.com.au is rebuilding. Remember our inspiration. We're not just here just to fight. We're not here to fight just for ourselves. We're here to fight for our nation, for our nation's future, for our families, for our children. We say yes to happier, wealthier local communities. We say yes to protecting local small business. We say yes to rebuilding Australia for the next generation, because it's not about us right now. We have to do what is uncomfortable for the next generation. Every generation is faced with their own issue, and whether we sit back and stay in our own little cocoons, it depends on what kind of nation our children inherit. All right, so when you choose Novax ID when shopping in person, you're choosing small over large. Small business purchases offer relationships, local community growth and empowerment. When you choose to shop local and small, you watch your community begin to be rebuilt. Every dollar you spend locally and not in a major chain store goes back into local community, and that's how it should be. When you choose Novax ID online, you're choosing Australian owned. We will bring manufacturing because that's always a sticking point. I understand that, but just let us take one bite of the elephant at a time. We know we need manufacturing. We know we need infrastructure. Totally get that. But let's de-legislate that. Let's take that out of governmental control and champion small businesses so small businesses can start to build factories and do all those things. Imagine if we could overcome recidivism, for example. Imagine if prisoners coming out know that they were going straight into a job that was willing to pay them a good sum and they were going to be able to support their family. Imagine if you could take people off the streets that were mentally ill, that could only work a 4-hour week because they just can't cope with any more than that. But we can say, that's cool, just come over here. Small business can champion all of that because small business is built on relationships. It's not built on shareholders. It's not built on making money. It's built on relationships. The money is just a happy byproduct. Okay, so when we stay away from the foreign platforms like Amazon, eBay and AliExpress, they have high fees for business owners. The cost for Australia will last generations. If we stay away from that, and it's going to be uncomfortable in the short term, yes it is, but can we do that? Can we be uncomfortable for the next generation? So your nation's future rests on your now choices. When you choose local and small and you choose Australian owned, you choose a brilliant future. Choose novaxid.com.au. So here are the next steps. I think I've painted that right now we are in a time of crisis. We're in the crucible time. We all know that. That's why we come out tonight. But what I've shown you through this presentation is that daily you can make a decision to just invest that little bit more and put the money back in your own small business, in your own community. It's like, would you give money to some random overseas, or would you give more money? It's going to cost you more to give it to your own kids. Every time you spend money locally, you are giving it back into your own kids, to the next generation. So these are the steps that I would love you to take now, this evening. Please don't just sit here and watch a thing and go, I went out tonight, I made a difference. That's great, but that's just the first step. You must action. You must action. Sign up to Novax ID. It's free, of course. Sign up to get updates. Shop local. Join our socials and share. It's hard for us to advertise because we go against the narrative. We need word of mouth to grow us. So if you follow our socials and share our posts, comment an emoji, you have no idea how much that actually affects the algorithms. Statistically, we've only been going for a fairly short space of time. You know, we're not David Jones or anything like that. We're small. But every time someone comments or emojis or shares a post, I generally get 2 to 3 likes or follows to the platform. So every time you do something, it actually matters. It actually matters. Share us with your network. And finally, we are starting a podcast. Small Business Stories podcast is about to launch, and it's about how small business owners are fighting back against what's happening, what they envisage for the future, and a few tips and tricks they have for small business owners right now. This is how we're actually going to grow this platform, is by sharing local stories with local people. So, when you shop local, you will save Australia. And I hope you've enjoyed drinking out of a fire hose, but all you need to remember tonight is right now, it's pretty crap. You have to do a few things, and later it's going to be bonza. novaxid.com.au, and just choose to find businesses through the website. Tell people about it, follow us, tell people about it, follow us, tell people about it, and shop. Thank you.